Instagram and on, I guess,
Zoom?
Zoom. Yeah.
All right.
Live on Zoom.
Well, let's do
And
this properly then.
okay.
Welcome back to day 3 of Podcast Bootcamp.
I'm Julie.
I'm Dan.
And
This,
wait, I need to mute that.
oh my gosh.
There's a lot of muting that we have to do, apparently.
Oh. You know, you can go into YouTube after and trim out.
Well, I'm going to let you do that because you're the
So,
tech. I'm the talent.
welcome back to
Day 3.
of Go Confidently Services. Podcast Bootcamp. I'm Dan. This is Julie.
It's Casa de Confidence Productions, but okay.
Whatever. Fix your microphone foam.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Hit the mic. Just kind of gently put it on.
Oh my
Just slip it down.
A lot of work. A lot of work here, people.
So, Julie.
Dan.
What are we doing today?
We're talking about day 3 of the podcasting boot camp. And I am thrilled to talk about growing and monetizing your podcast. What are you talking about?
I'm gonna listen to you talk about that.
Well, by the end of today's session.
How do they monetize? Oh, I see. Through sponsorship services and offers.
Okay. Well, hello.
I'm reading.
Why don't you talk about the objective for today?
The objective for today.
The objective for today.
Well, by the end of today's session, you will know how to grow your podcast audience, promote your show effectively, and start monetizing through sponsorships, services, and offers.
And other offers. Yay. Okay. So let's recap of what we've been doing. Again, day 3 of the podcasting bootcamp. And I cannot believe that we've done 3 days already of this, but this is still fun.
Well, we haven't done 3 days yet.
Well, this is our third day right now, right here.
Yes.
Hello. Okay. So you've learned how to set up and record. You've learned how to set up a podcast. You've learned how to record. You've learned a little bit about how to structure it. So now we're going to talk about what people really love to talk about when it comes to business, and that's making money.
And taking it to the next level.
So before we dive in,
drop in the chat what's been your biggest win from the boot camp so far.
Oh, my win is spending time with you, Daniel.
Oh, have you recorded your first episode?
I hope people have.
And have you set up any podcast hosting?
Ooh,
let us know.
Listen, you don't have to do it all. You can choose 1 step, 2 steps. And if you miss the other boot camps, you can go to day 1, day 2. You can message me on Instagram or here on YouTube and say, give me the recordings and I'll point you in the right direction to go and look at the other days. Also, I will send you the Launch Your Podcast in 30 Days, which I think people are going to definitely use. People have asked me for it, and I am seeing some rumblings that people are getting really good, I guess, like a direction or a roadmap to doing this.
Cool.
Okay.
Did you recap the first 2 days?
No, that was you.
Oh, okay. So if you missed 1 or the first 2 days, we taught.
Bless you. Live television, people. This is live.
In the first 2 days, we talked about how to set up and plan your audience, set up and plan your podcast. We then talked about how to record, structure, and launch successfully, and how to submit your podcast to Apple, Spotify, and more. And today, Julie,
yes,
what are you speaking on today?
We're talking about growing your audience, also how to attract listeners and the best strategies to promote your show and how to monetize through sponsorships, services, and partnerships.
All right.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, let's get right into it, Julie.
Let's get ready to rumble. Having a podcast is great, but how do we actually get people to listen? Growth does not happen by accident. You really have to have a strategy. If you...
I smell a top 5 coming on.
If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. Okay.
Sorry.
So here are the top 5 ways.
I told you there was a top 5 coming.
I like 5. 5 is my favorite number. Okay.
Well,
so here are the top 5 ways in which you can grow your podcast. Okay. So the first thing, as once you've launched, once you've listed in the directories, you've gotten the right equipment. And again, all of this is stuff that we covered in day 1 and 2, and we'll share it if you ask us. You can type in here in the comments as well. Give me the goods, and I'll give you the materials from the last 2 days. And the first thing, in order for you to grow your audience, you need to make sure that you have SEO and that your titles matter. When you create a podcast, use searchable keywords in your titles and your descriptions. And by the way, this is something that we really didn't do when we launched our podcast, Dan. Remember that?
I'm sorry. I was looking at Instagram.
Oh my God, he's so distracted. Look at us. Oh, wrong. Looking the wrong way. There's Dan. Okay.
I was trying to.
And here we are.
While you were talking.
And there's Dan. Okay.
What didn't we do?
The SEO and the titles that matter. We did not do that. Remember that?
Yes.
This is one of the things that a lot of people think, I'm going to be clever. I'm going to put something cutesy. And by the way, I did that. And what we found is that it's very difficult for potential listeners to find you when you are not optimizing for keywords. So for instance, for us, we're podcasters. We also have a production company. I am a business coach. I'm a business strategist. I'm a speaker. And the keywords that all are related to that are important to not only be in the show notes, but to also be a part of my title so that if you're Googling, it can show up for you.
Now,
go ahead.
The simple ways of doing this. I mean, we have tools that we use, and you have different things that you do, and you have your, obviously you have your knowledge. But if you're doing this on your own, it's as simple. The most simple way is to go on your computer, ask GPT chat to generate some keywords.
Yeah, the other word,
and that's a good start.
That's a good start. Another great way of doing it is Google Trends. You can go to Google Trends and you can ask Google Trends to tell you what's trending and what are some words. And this, so for instance, if what the trend today is like how to decrease your stress, right? And that's what people are searching. Then your title for your podcast is going to be, or your podcast episode could be, how to decrease stress when you're feeling it all over the place or something like that, right? You want to go ahead and answer the questions that people are asking regarding to your topic. So that's going to be one of the most important things that you do when growing your audience. That's the first thing is you need to have the SEO keywords, and your titles are going to matter. Number 2, the second way that you're going to grow your audience is leverage social media. And social media, again, is a great tool. It is not the only tool. And if you're only relying on social media to grow your podcast, it's going to be challenging. I'm not going to lie. But you want to go ahead and repurpose clips. You want to go ahead and put quotes on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on TikTok. Typically what I tell my clients when they ask, well, what social media should I be on? Right now, we are on Instagram. I'm on Instagram. But pick one. If you don't have to be in every single one right away. Pick one social media that is where your ideal listener is hanging out. So if you are talking about leadership, careers, maybe it's LinkedIn. If you're talking about family and health, maybe Instagram, TikTok, or some of the other platforms that are out there. Maybe you're talking about politics or you're talking about current events. You may want to go into what used to be Twitter. I'm not going to name it today. Or you're going to go into Blue Sky. By the way, don't go into Twitter. Go into Blue Sky. Great platform, but that's not an ad. Or you can use Threads here on Instagram. But find specifically, oh, you have to jump off. Not a problem. Come back. I will have the recording here. I'm so glad that you were listening. Anyhow, definitely you want to go ahead and have all the different tools and the accounts optimized, right? So if you're going to have an account on social, make sure that prior to start posting on your podcast that you have also keywords in your description, that you have a way that people can find you. And we can go off the reservation and talk about how to optimize your social media accounts, but that's another topic for another day. So, top 5 ways, again, SEO, keywords, and titles. Then you're going to leverage social media. Number 3, and this is one of my favorite ways in which we grew our podcast. And currently, Casa de Confidence is in the top 2% of podcasts out of 3 million podcasts, active podcasts, that is. And the reason that we were able to do that is because independent active podcast. The reason we were able to do that is because I committed from the very beginning to be a guest, in somebody else's podcast. What that means is that you are going to be borrowing and leveraging other people's audiences. If you're just starting out, maybe you don't have a following, maybe you don't have a community yet, but there's people who are very similar to you or that they speak to similar listeners that would be interested in listening to your show. So those are the people that you want to go ahead and bring and connect with and then create a relationship with and find out if you can also bring some value to their listeners by you being a guest on their show. That is definitely the fastest way in which you can grow.
And when you're on another podcast, remember you're partnering. You're
partnering. Drink up.
Thank you. Partnering with that person, with those people.
Yeah.
And when you're on another podcast, be sure to promote their podcast. Promote your episode with them.
That's right. And you have an opportunity to create a collaboration and a partnership with somebody when you are in each other's show. I can tell you that there are several podcasters who I have been on their show and they have been on mine, and it has allowed me to be able to get out in front of audiences that normally haven't met me, haven't connected with me yet. Take, for instance, I was in Pat Flynn's podcast. I've been on both of his podcasts, and I met individuals through that appearance in the podcast. Now, Pat Flynn has been podcasting since 2012, I want to say, or maybe longer. And he has millions of downloads and listeners all over the world. Being able to be part of his show has allowed me to get in front of people that are similar when it comes to their interest, and my content definitely resonates with them. So that is another way in which we can grow your podcast. Now, here's my other piece that has been amazing. Hi, Brooke. This is why I had to get off the phone with you. I'm with Dan here. The other way in which you want to go ahead and grow your podcast. And by the way, Brooke is amazing. And thanks to her, I've been on other people's podcasts. But the other way that you want to go ahead and grow your podcast is using an email list. A lot of people underestimate the value of an email list. Today at the Confident You Mastermind, this is a little bit of what I was reiterating to somebody. We want to go ahead and not just put content out there, but we want to connect with the listeners. And how do we do that? How do we build a relationship? Well, we invite them to be a part of our email list. And, we just don't say, hey, sign up. We want to have maybe a very sexy something that people want.
I'm a very sexy something.
Well, I'm not giving you away, Dan.
Oh, sorry.
But maybe we want to go ahead and have a list or a top 10 of how to launch your business, or you want to have maybe a tool. These are my top tips for building a podcast, right? Or maybe if you're into self-care or you are a nutritionist, you can have a list of what are the best nutrition tips that I have. Whatever it might be, offer something of value. Tell people during your podcast that, hey, if you want to download my free gift, and that's how you're collecting email addresses. And it's not just about getting an email, but it's about creating a relationship. Now, mind you, most of us think like, oh my God, email. But email is one of the most successful ways of building a brand, a business, and communicating with your audience. You want to consistently tell your community, hey, I have a new episode. Hello, this is what's going on, or here is my new guest, whatever it is. You want to go ahead and share that through your email. Now, you don't have to send an email every day. You can start out small. You can send one once a month, but be consistent. Commit to that, because then you're going to create a habit. Your listeners and new listeners will also become used to you communicating with them. And then you can continue to grow your audience that way. Because let's say if someone is getting the email telling them, hey, I have such and such person as a guest on my episode, maybe that person is going to say, oh, you know what? My grandmother really needs to hear this episode, and they will share your episode. And that's a lot of the ways in which people also grow. Now, the other place in which you can grow your podcast is
This is 5.
This is 5, Dan. Create viral moment, incentives, and referral programs so that your listeners, like I was saying with the email, can also share, whether it be a post or maybe you're creating some excitement for a guest that is going to be coming up, or you're going to be sharing something really juicy on your podcast. Tell listeners, create the excitement, encourage them to listen, and remind them to share the episode. Remind them to also give you a review and subscribe. These are ways, because once the platforms see that people are tuning into your stuff, then they start to push it out into other avenues. Any comments on that, Daniel?
This is important. You got to encourage listeners to share. And I'll notice there's really good podcasts out there that get a lot of downloads. And when I listen to those podcasters are asking during the content to like and share.
Like and share.
You know, and it's not just like in the beginning, your intro and outro that says it, or maybe you have a commercial in the middle. It's just, oh, like and share. No, they'll work it into the conversation.
That's right.
And that's I think that is very organic.
Yeah.
And it encourages people to do just that.
And
reviews
are
important also.
And by the way, this type of content that we're bringing you today through this boot camp, and this has been a 3-day boot camp, is something that we love to do. We love to share. And if this is something that is giving you value, I encourage you to definitely share this with people that you know would appreciate it. And if you want to see more content like this, you also want to make sure that you're following us and subscribe, because then we will make sure that you don't miss an episode, that you don't miss any valuable thing.
Look at that. You just did it right now. Good job.
Genius, huh?
Oh my gosh. So people.
Yes.
People won't stumble onto your podcast. They might. But that's like a chance thing. You're leaving it a chance. People aren't going to stumble onto your podcast. You have to put it in front of them. Pick one strategy today that you'll commit to using. And this top 5 of Julie's is a great starting point.
Yeah. So the other piece, and by the way, our podcast, Casa de Confidence, and the Confident You Raw, which is our second podcast.
Confident You Raw. Which
we haven't really talked about, but Confident You Raw is our second podcast. We really love having guests. We love doing interviews. However, they are podcasts. If you, like we talked about in day 1, you decide that you're going to have a solo episode, you're going to be teaching or sharing content throughout the show, then you want to go ahead and map out what your content is. You want to make sure that you have that all written down. Now, I'm going to show you behind the hi, Angela. I'm going to show you a little bit of how I map out some of my content. And this is going to be a little secret sauce thing that I show you.
But you apologize to people. I'm a little stuffed up right now. I don't know why.
And he's not stuffy normally.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm making
but one of the things that I typically do is I will come up and look through what are some of the things that my listeners really want to learn, or what are the things that maybe they're struggling with. And as we begin to and by the way, there's a couple different ways in which you can do this too. Is I outline my content based on what my calendar is, my social media calendar, what is happening in the world right now is it's International Women's Day on Saturday, is Women History Month for March. So a lot of my content is going to be related to topics that are relevant to women. So one of the things that, yes,
it's also our anniversary this month.
Oh yeah, let's talk about our anniversary. Happy anniversary, Daniel.
Happy anniversary.
13 years together.
Oh my gosh.
I know. What are you
Time
getting me?
flies when you're in love.
What are you getting me for our anniversary? Oh my God, we're digressing. Never mind. Okay.
Sorry. All right, just so you all know, our anniversary is actually on St. Patrick's Day.
That's right. So he can never forget. Okay.
Excuse me.
What?
I don't forget stuff like that.
Okay.
Give me a little cred.
Well, I'm going to show the listeners. Okay. I'm going to show the listeners a little bit of what my process is. I started to map out an episode on vulnerability, because vulnerability is an important topic for business owners, for podcasters, for content creators. And when you're in the online world, sometimes you have to be able to open up so that you can make deep connections with your audience. And I know that this is something that a lot of people struggle with and are really grappling with. I know that I grappled with that from time to time. So I started to map out this episode and I came up with a hook, right? What is my opening line? And I came up with that. And by the way, I didn't do this all on my own. I do some research, I go to books, and I also ask ChatGPT not to write it for me, but to give me some ideas, and then I refine them to my voice.
To get a starting point.
To get a starting point. So for instance, I introduced the concept of vulnerability, and this is a little bit of vulnerability is often misunderstood. Now, I don't read this word for word on the podcast, but it does give me a script that I can stick to so that I'm not rambling like I've been rambling here when we were talking about our anniversary.
But typically, you'll boil that down to bullet points.
I do boil it down to bullet points. Now, the other thing that we talk about is you want to go ahead and after having a hook, you also want to make sure that you pose a problem, right? Think about what are the problems that your listeners may be struggling with. So, for instance, the problem that I'm couching for people is the common challenges that we face when it comes to vulnerability. We become fearful. We think we're going to be judged. Society, it's asking us or making us be a certain way. So you can see that I couch that problem or challenge, and then I go through some of my key points on that. Again, there's a lot of different ways in which you can do that. I have outlines that I share with my clients, and so that it helps them map out. Many times with my clients, one of the things that we do is we map out for the month what they have going on in their business. And then we talk about what are the things that are going to resonate with their listeners that can remind them that, hey, I also do this. For instance, we have a client, her name is Natalie. She's in the financial space. Natalie, many times, will talk about things that are very relevant to her listeners. However, she is also someone that, as a woman, she's celebrating Women History Month. She's also celebrating love in February. She talked about self-love and how having your finances in place is a way of showing your self-love. So she mapped out not only the topics, but she mapped out the different things that she wanted to talk about. And if you're bringing guests, you can also make a list of the topics that you want to talk about and then invite guests that can speak on those different topics.
Cool.
So there's a couple different ways for you to do that.
Well, this is pretty good little bonus content that we didn't promise in the beginning.
Well, listen, we over deliver. That's what we do here.
Very cool.
Okay.
So, Julie.
Yes, Daniel.
What are we speaking about next?
Okay, so we've talked about some of the ways in which you can create your content or your outline. How do you come up with an episode title? We talked about how it needs to be optimized keyword. You need to have some search engine optimization in your titles and also your content. But I want you to think about also as you're promoting your episode, how you are going to do that, right? If
So
you're
marketing and promotion strategies?
marketing and promotion strategies are important. And we already talked about social media. But again, social media may not be your end all be all. Now, if you're a podcaster and you're listening on YouTube or on Instagram, I'd love for you to share what is the best way in which you market or promote your podcast.
Hey, Julie.
Yes, Daniel.
Do you have another top 5?
No, I have 3.
3?
I couldn't come up with 5.
What happened?
I'm nothing but, different in every
So,
step of the way. I keep you guessing, Dan.
So marketing your podcast isn't just about posting and hoping for listeners. It's
That's
about
right.
creating a system.
Yes.
And a system that keeps you growing.
Ooh, Mikey on mute says that reels on Instagram of show clips have been the best so far. Me too. And by the way, I was sleeping in that. I was sleeping on that little strategy, or I knew that I needed to do it. Mikey and we weren't doing it. And now that we have more consistently created a process and an operational what is that called? Like a standard operating procedure, then it becomes easier to do.
Yes.
But yes,
doing things over and over again, you get more efficient at it and you get better at it. You get more creative at it.
that's right. And if you're listening to this and you haven't launched and you want to launch a podcast and a lot of this seems overwhelming, don't let it be overwhelming. Pick one thing. Pick the one thing that you're going to start out with, right? You're going to come up with your name. Then you're going to decide where you're going to host. You're going to have your equipment one step at a time. And then you put your show out there. You encourage people to listen. And then you decide what are the best ways for you to market. Now, create shareable content. Like Mikey on Instagram is saying, Reels, that's shareable content. If you're giving some value, if you're dropping some knowledge, if you're teasing out maybe an interview with an incredible guest, wouldn't that be great that people can actually see that little teaser and then decide, oh my God, my girlfriend needs to hear this. Oh, this is really cool. It's super inspirational. Let me share it. So audiograms, quotes, video clips, all these are great ways to tease out your episode. And that's a great way to promote and market your episode.
So number 1, create shareable content.
Create shareable content. Now, when it comes to number 2, it's leverage collaborations. And by the way, we love collaboration. One way in which we collaborate with a lot of other podcasters and people that have a platform, maybe content creators, is we have them on our show. We invite them, we interview them, we talk about and give them a platform to share their expertise, their value, their knowledge. And at the same time, we create collaborations with them. Like I talked about, I have been a guest in over 100 podcasts. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's actually like 120, 130.
Do you know, wow, I just got this little lack of speaking ability today.
Just today?
Oh, wow, that's why I'm the tech and you're the talent.
That's why we're married, because I can tell you.
You know how many shows I've been a guest on?
2.
1.
No, 2.
2?
Yeah.
Because I'm the tech.
But you have been asked to be on other shows and you're like, oh.
Well, I'm a busy man.
Okay. What shows have you been on?
Don't put me on the spot. It's been a while.
Okay. Well, he has been on Dave. What is his name? My God, this is 2020 when we did that show.
It was a husband and a wife.
No, that was the second show.
Oh, that was the second one.
The first show is I got to go back and look. Sorry.
I can see his face, and that's how my mind works. I can see people's faces, but I can't pull names.
I can pull
Sometimes
names.
I forget Julie's name.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous. Okay, listen.
Okay, Lisa.
Leverage, collaborate. Call me Lisa.
I mean Julie.
Who the hell is Lisa?
It was a joke.
Not a funny joke.
It was me forgetting.
Leverage collaborations.
I could have got myself in
cross promote. Right, when I have a guest, like I talked about, we promote them and they in turn also promote the episode to their audiences. We leverage each other's audiences to grow together. This world is really about collaboration. It's not about competition. If you're going into it thinking like, oh, I'm competing to be the best and forget everybody else, or I don't want people to know what I'm doing, you're setting yourself up to fail.
A key to this is when you have a guest on your show, you got to let them know it's expected that they're going to promote the episode.
Yeah.
Number two, the second part of that is supply them with collateral to promote. Give them some shorts, give them some audiograms, give them some video clips. And that way it's easy. Even sometimes you'll put an Instagram image of the episode. Hey, this week on boom, 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 have that package ready to give to your guests. That way it makes it that much easier for them to promote.
Now, I will tell you, and this is something that we talked about yesterday in day 2 of this boot camp. You have to have a process. So, for instance, for us, because we know we're going to promote and collaborate with others to market and get the word out there for the episodes, prior to someone being a guest on our show, we have them fill out an intake form. In the intake form, we're asking your social media, give us your bio, where's your website, give us a picture of you, because this is everything that we need in order to create the collateral that then we send to them prior to the episode releasing.
It's so important to have a good image of your guests so you can use it.
Yeah, we have come across many of our clients that sometimes forget to do that, even though we show them the process of having an intake form and we help them with that.
We actually have an intake form, a standard intake form that we created.
And we share.
And we share that with our clients.
But sometimes they choose not to use it.
And that's fine. Sometimes they have their own systems.
It becomes challenging to be able to then promote an episode if we don't have information or all the other stuff that we
if it's part of our process to provide them with collateral or YouTube thumbnails and stuff like that, the form is a great tool for us with our clients. It's also a great tool for you if you're going to be doing it on your own.
It sure is. So now, here's the thing. Think of your podcast as a brand, not just a show. And when you think, I tend to think of our podcast, Casa de Confidence, as our little baby child. And we love our little baby child podcast. It's actually a teenager now, I would think, in which we help to be in an environment in which you can grow. And we do things that we stay consistent, we promote it, we tell people about it, we create loyal listeners.
Oh, you're a proud mama.
I'm a proud mama of our podcast. Okay. Bonus tips. Dan, do you want to talk about bonus tips?
Bonus tips? Well, bonus tips about marketing and promotion.
Yes.
So, all right. Cliche. Day 2 with me with a cliche. A goal without a plan is just a wish. Is that right? Is that
I think that's about right. Yeah.
So you need to create a promo plan for each episode.
Yeah.
Without a plan, things can just fall apart. My mom used to have never mind, I'm not going to say it. My mom had a term, but yeah, my mom swore sometimes, and we're in public. So pre-launch teaser, episode drop,
right,
follow-up, and engagement.
Yeah.
And that's important. There are important steps to have a plan for those things.
Absolutely.
And if you have a plan laid out, then it's a lot easier not to forget those things as you're going through the busyness of what you're trying to achieve.
And you standardize the stuff. And again, this is something that we help individuals with as they're launching a podcast. We make it easy so they don't have to kind of think about it. But it's not about just posting. And this is something that even if you don't have a podcast and you're running a business or you want to create an audience or a following or a community, it's not just about posting and sharing. It's also about engagement. Go and comment, create relationships through the conversations. DM somebody. I had a couple people follow me this week who are new to me. And the first thing that I did is I sent them a message and I said, "Hi, thank you for following me," with a picture of me waving. Why? Because I want them to know that I acknowledge that they're part of my community now, that they're part of and I followed them, right? So that we can create a dialogue and they see my stuff. And it's not just me liking, but it's really commenting on, because if someone is posting something, it's of value and they're hoping to bring you value. And it's great to be able to have that interaction.
To me, it's planning to be intentional. And I mean, if a person's willing to give you their time, you want to show them that you appreciate their time. And having a plan like you do for following up, that's part of your plan.
Yeah.
But also, it's not just because you want to expand your reach or maybe gain a client. It's because you want to be intentional to show that person that they're appreciated for spending time with you.
Yeah.
So, second bonus tip
is you want to have call to, actions.
Yep. Don't be afraid to ask. The question that is never asked will never be answered. So
that's really good. Where'd you come up with that?
It's just I just probably reworded somebody else's stuff. So if you don't ask, you won't know. And call to action in every episode to encourage listeners to subscribe, to reviews, share, do that stuff. Ask. And it's not. It's sometimes it feels unnatural.
Hey, by the way,
it's not.
We have a client we have several clients, but this particular client, we're going to give her a shout out, Jane Pilger, Coach Jane from the Binge Eating Breakthrough podcast. Amazing. Go check it out. She is excellent, not only at planning, but at also having a call to action on her episodes and on her show notes. And this helps to grow the show, because you're telling people what to do after they listen. And people sometimes need the direction. So if you are thinking of launching a show, make sure that you prioritize having a call to action, because that's going to be a great way for you to market, promote, and grow your show.
And if that sounds like a show you to be interested in, go ahead and seek out Binge Eating Breakthrough by Jane Pilger.
Or just send me put a comment in this recording, whether you're on Instagram or on YouTube, and I will tag Jane, or I will share the episode.
See what I just did?
Yeah, you have a call to action. Good job. Good job, Daniel. Now, monetizing your podcast. This is a topic that a lot of people want to know about, Dan. Why do you think?
Because they've heard about all the money you can make podcasting.
You have to be intentional. Now, I will tell you, you do hear about all the money people make podcasting, but not everybody is a Joe Rogan or a Call Her Daddy. Podcasting can be lucrative, can bring in revenue, but you also need to understand that you cannot expect to start at somebody else's chapter 10 when you're just starting out in chapter 1.
That's right.
So build yourself up for it. If monetizing your podcast, creating income from your podcast is something that you want to do, then it's very important that you, as you start to launch, that's part of your launch plan. And here are 3 ways. We're going to tell you 3 ways in which you can monetize.
Well, I was about to say that. You said there's three ways that you can monetize. Different podcasts will monetize very differently. You mentioned Joe Rogan. I can mention some other shows that I listen to. I don't actually listen to Joe Rogan, but I mean, he's been consistently one of the biggest shows. But you say Joe Rogan, it's not just Joe Rogan. That's a whole production team.
That's a whole production team.
That's a big deal. That's a professional podcast, not an independent.
Right.
So as most podcasts are independent podcasts, and they'll monetize differently than the big boys out there. So
now, if you're going to go the traditional way of getting sponsors and ads, most sponsorships that you're going to seek out through through dynamic platforms like Podcorn or Libsyn Ads or Spotify, you're going to need a level of downloads, of listens under your belt for you to be brought on board to be an advertiser.
So are you jumping on to number one?
I am in number one. I started to do that already.
You didn't actually say number one, though.
Number one, sponsorships and ads.
I cut you off before you said it.
Yeah.
3 ways to monetize your podcast. Number one is sponsorships and ads.
So you want to create, really know the brands that want to advertise with you. And again, you don't have to wait until you have the million of downloads, but you can identify the ads, the brands that would appeal to your ideal listener. And this is where you being a micro or nano influencer comes to play. Okay. So for instance, I was out and I'm not going to show it, but there is a brand that wants to advertise on the podcast. And guess what? Does it align with my listeners? Abso-freaking-lutely. It's something that women and overall entrepreneurs or sassy individuals would love, right? So, yes, I would love to promote them and to have a little inserted ad. And there's different ways in which you can decide what the cost would be to an entity, a brand, to pay you for that. And you can start small and grow from there. Now, I will tell you also that we've been approached by other brands that
did not
align. And a lot of times when a brand approaches us about advertising on the podcast, I will typically ask for a sample of their product if it's not a product that we already use. Why? Because I don't want to promote something that I don't use, that I don't like, that I don't believe in. So for that reason, I really double down in making sure that if we're going to have a brand sponsor our content, that we are going to align with that. Now, you can, by the way, get sponsors, not the big brands, but you can get sponsors by having a media kit.
Yeah.
A media kit is basically a one sheet where you're talking about who is your ideal listener, how many episodes you have, maybe some of the following numbers, the people following you in social media. So the brand can get a sense of your reach. Again, some brands are looking to work with nano and micro influencers. So you don't have to have the millions of followers. You can have a really committed audience, even if it's just a handful, but they really are going to be listeners that are going to love the brand that you are promoting. So that is one of the ways in which you can advertise.
And this can be, local businesses also.
Yeah, it could be local businesses. I know somebody that we've worked with in the past, and she had a very specialized local podcast in her community where she talked about happenings within her community. So what she then did is she approached the local businesses that would benefit from having their ad inserted into her podcast, since the majority of their people tuning into the show were individuals who were in the community and were going to spend money in the community. So that's a way in which sponsorships and ads can help you. Now, I will tell you that the majority of the time for Casa de Confidence, the sponsor of our content is Casa de Confidence or Go Confidently Services. We insert ads that are for our stuff, not necessarily a third party. But again, we're open to advertising. So if you want to advertise in Casa de Confidence, not an ad, but you could be your ad.
If you don't ask, you don't know.
If you don't ask, you don't know. So,
and the third one is using the dynamic platforms like Podcorn and or Anchor ads, stuff like that. And if you're on I know Buzzsprout, for example, they have their own thing where you can get paid for running ads through them also.
That's right. And now I will tell you, like I said, you can use a wide array of places in which you can advertise and have people sponsor your content. Selling your own offers is number 2 as far as how you can monetize your podcast.
Oh, you alluded to this
I
just a
alluded
second
to that
ago.
just a second ago. Promote your coaching, your digital products, your services in your show, right? Sometimes we are creating content, but we don't tell people what we do or what we have that's available to them that may be of interest to them. So make sure that you maybe sponsor yourself, because maybe you can get paid $500 for someone to put an ad on your show, but yet if you sell a coaching program for $10,000, that becomes more lucrative, right? So there's a couple different ways in which you can do that, but make sure that you are really intentional again about how you're going about selling your offers. You can also use episodes as lead magnets to your business. So many times, as well, for me, I will use episodes. Like, for instance, an episode on how to start a podcast. Or there's an episode that I did not too long ago called the top things I knew. The top things I knew before I started podcasting. I wish I would know before we started podcasting. And that episode itself was a lead magnet to our services, our podcasting production services. So your content, your episodes can also be a lead magnet. And by the way, as we're talking about lead magnets, create a freebie. Give somebody, and we've talked about it in the beginning, an opt-in. You have to have a way to capture leads. Podcasting, a lot of times we don't know who is listening. So it's important for you to create that communication by offering something that people can sign up for.
You remember, you own your podcast. There's only certain things that you actually own. And all your contacts in social media,
Not yours.
not yours. If TikTok went away, everyone on TikTok that is a contact of yours is gone. You know, all your people you're following,
Yeah.
Facebook goes away, that's gone. The only thing that you truly own is your email list.
That's right. And by the way,
That's why lead magnets are important.
and here, if you don't know how to use an email, I will be doing a couple.
That just sounded funny.
What?
If you don't know how to use an email?
If you don't know how to use email to promote your business or email marketing, I will be doing a couple live demos as well. I happen to love my email provider, which is Flowdesk. And I can tell you that it is one of the easiest. What are you laughing at?
You sounded like an ad.
It is an ad. I'm a partner.
Which is Flowdesk.
Flowdesk is
I love
partner,
Flowdesk.
And
you know why do you know why I love Flowdesk?
Why?
Because Julie never asks me to help her figure something out with the tech.
On Flowdesk, because it is so easy. And by the way, yes, I am a partner for Flowdesk, but I promote them and I am a partner because I love their functionality. I love the way that it is a women-owned business, and also they care for creators. They have some beautiful templates that are so easy to use and very intuitive. And again, it makes it easy to keep marketing efforts going for my business and for the podcast and for everything that we do by having a platform like that. But again, I want to encourage you that if you don't have a freebie or an opt-in that people can put in, that you actually start to brainstorm. And if you're not sure what that would look like, feel free to ask. I'm always, I love to chat about this. This is like my jam. I love to strategize what would be really good things. So hit me up in the comments or definitely send me an email, julie@goconfidentlycoaching.com. Or if you're on Facebook or anywhere else, send me a DM. You know how to.
Could you do me a favor?
Yes, Daniel.
Can you move that glass straw that you keep hitting?
No, because I'm drinking water from it.
Move it a little bit. It keeps clanking in my ear.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
You're a hand talker.
I'm a hand talker.
That's good.
I can't help it.
It makes for a good video.
Well, listen,
So,
by the way,
I'm going to talk about, go ahead.
I just want to say that if you are a public speaker, putting your hands and using your hands is a way for you to create trust. So when people see your hands, it creates trust with the audience members. So that's why you use your hands too.
All right, let's try this out.
Go ahead.
So, Julie.
Dan.
We got to talk about point number 3, paid memberships and premium content. Okay. So why don't you go ahead and do that?
So
that was good.
That was very good. Paid memberships and premium content, again, is another way in which you can monetize. A lot of times, we create really, really good stuff. Not to say that our opt-ins are not good, because we create really good opt-ins, people, right? Now, there might be valuable stuff that you want to go ahead and take people to the next level, that you want to continue to just have for the people that are more committed to getting your content. And that means that you put it behind a paywall. That can be maybe a membership. You invite people to be a part of your community. It could be also that maybe you're doing Q&As. For instance, for this boot camp, we have Q&As that only, right? Q&As and coaching sessions attached to this that only the paid members of the VIP option to this will get access to. So that's another way in which you can monetize your podcast or your content, is by having that second layer where people pay to have access to you, have access to your brain, to your content. And it helps you also be able to create communities that are really connected to you. There's someone who does very good when it comes to community. And that's Shailene Johnson. If you're not following her, you should. She's here. I'm part of her community and I love it. I listen to her podcast, but I also listen to her premium content. Why? Because there's little really good stuff in there that she shares only with her paid listeners. Now, my producer is saying to tighten up. So next.
We are running out of time. So
how does that happen, Dan?
So offer exclusive episodes or Q&As through Patreon.
Yes.
That's
also,
one way.
Substack is another way in which
Substack
you
is
can
another
offer
way.
paid.
And sell VIP. I don't know sign language. Sell VIP access or live coaching via private podcast feeds. Those are good ways to do that. We're not going to dive into it too deep, but those are ways you can, build a tighter inner community also.
Absolutely. And
so
yes,
the point I want to make is you don't need millions of downloads to monetize. A small engaged audience can bring in serious revenue when you position yourself correctly.
That's right.
And do it in a way that makes sense for you and for your community and your content and your podcast.
So now this whole boot camp has been to create a way or a roadmap for anyone who is interested in podcasting to be able to have a lot of this information. I do know that we gave you a lot of information, but here's what I'm going to challenge you with. You don't have to make it complicated. You can start podcasting as simple as using your phone to record. You can be as simple.
You can. We did not talk about that as a microphone.
Well, it can be.
But you know what I tell people? When they want to use their Apple EarPods, I say just use your phone. It's got a better microphone on it.
Yeah.
So it's if you hold your phone, sorry, tech tips coming.
Tech tip.
If you just do an audio and you want to record your audio on your phone, you just take your phone and speak into it like a microphone.
Dan has had me do that.
Not out far away, but use it like a microphone like that and speak into it. Do a test, see what it sounds like. It's the iPhones and newer iPhones have pretty good microphones. You can do. If you just want to do it, do it.
Do it. So take action, my friend, whatever it is. And I would invite you that you don't have to be a pro. You don't have to be in grade 12. You can start in kindergarten and begin small.
We started in preschool.
We started in preschool, certainly.
Well, I guess no. Yeah. I was pretty awesome from the start.
You were pretty awesome
from the start. You needed a lot of work. I'm kidding.
I see how this is rolling. What are you having for dinner, Daniel?
No, actually, You're, I mean, sorry, I shouldn't say this, but you're a fantastic interviewer. So
Oh, well,
yeah,
you're a fantastic tech.
you came out of the gate, you came out of the gate with a feel for that.
Mm.
So if you have that same feeling like, oh my God, I'd be a great interviewer, you know what time it is?
Mm-hmm.
What time is it? It's time to take action.
That's right.
Julie,
So
give them their homework.
here's your homework for day 3. Go and pick one growth strategy. Maybe you're not into asking for collaborations, or you're not looking to get paid by brands, but maybe you are looking to create a community and have a paid membership. Whatever it might be, feel free to pick one thing. Also, you want to go ahead and create that simple marketing plan. If you don't know how to do that, that's something that ask me. Happy to share with you a skeleton of how I create my marketing and what my marketing plan looks like. I have tons of templates I'm happy to send you. So you can let me know in the comments or on DM, and I can share that.
And a good rule of thumb is to be 3 episodes out on that marketing plan.
That's right.
More if you can.
Yes. Batch your content.
Well, sometimes you need to be agile and flexible. So 3 is a good number.
Yeah.
If you go out 10, sometimes you could miss an opportunity if you're not flexible about shifting and changing a little bit. Sometimes, if you have to.
And then you want to go ahead and brainstorm one monetization method that you can implement within your plan of podcasting. You know, podcasting is one of the most rewarding endeavors that we've taken on, and we love helping others to be able to explore this for themselves, because there's such a need for what you have to say, for what you are going to offer the world. Our world, you know, a lot of people say, oh, there's too many podcasts. My friend, there aren't too many podcasts. We live in a world that is always looking for some new perspective, a fresh way of saying it. And nobody else has shared the content in the manner in which you do.
That's true.
So,
you are unique. You are a snowflake. Everyone is unique from each other. You know, there's not two that are the same. Oh, sorry. Right. This is the whole thing we were taught when we were kids.
Okay.
Anyway,
Daniel.
What I want to say is over the last 3 days, we've shared methods, techniques. There's a lot of good stuff that we shared. And the thing I want to say about this is, if if you if you have other ways of doing things, also, if there are people out there, share it with us. Let us know. Hell, what do you do?
Yeah.
And you know why I say that is because when we started this, our marketing techniques now don't necessarily apply to 2022.
That's right.
And this changes.
We're in 2025.
Yeah, I'm talking about the past though.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So good job.
Thank
you. Things change a lot, especially online. I mean, we all notice when, TikTok closed down for 24 hours, it came back different, algorithms change, things like YouTube, Google Podcasts going away, and then Google using putting podcasts on YouTube. Did I say that right? Yeah. So things like that change. Apple changed last year. When someone went into your podcast and they liked your podcast, it would download all your episodes. So you'd get these big one-day bursts of downloads. That does not happen anymore.
That does not happen anymore.
It's more accurate now, but you don't get that endorphin rush of, oh my gosh, I got 300 extra downloads today. Oh, it was all from one person. They downloaded the whole collection because it was an automatic thing. They didn't listen to it.
Yeah.
So now when they go in and it only downloads what they listen to. So things change. So everything we showed you here is topical now.
Yeah.
And most of this stuff is evergreen. Most of everything we talk about is evergreen, but there's certain things that will change. So you got to stay on top of that.
You
And
do.
that's what we try to do. So if you ever need help or you ever have questions, talk to us, because Julie's always diving deep on the research. And I'm like, Julie's like, hey, we need to do this way. I'm like, you told me 3 months ago we got to do it that way. And I'm like, what are we doing? She's like, no, changed. So we change.
My
We're
goodness.
stay flexible, stay agile. And that's the one thing you have as an independent podcaster. You have the ability to stay flexible and agile like bigger companies don't, because it's like you're going to turn the battleship or turn your dinghy. It's a lot easier to turn your dinghy than it is a battleship. So
that's a lot, Dan.
it's a lot. And I'm trying not to ramble here. I'm getting close, but I'm not.
Getting? Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. So this boot camp was amazing.
Yes. And by the way, of course, I want to thank you for being here, Daniel. You're the hostess with the mostest.
This is new with me, and I'm not set up for this, so I'm keep looking down and I'm doing all this stuff. I'm doing all the wrong things.
No, you're not. You're doing it well.
I keep looking at you because you're so beautiful when I should be looking up here at the camera.
Look,
so
I look at you every day, so I can look at the camera. Now, Dan,
I'm sorry. You gotta look at me.
If people want to join a supportive community, and podcasting is something that you want to delve into, I want to encourage you. We have a wonderful community, the Confident You community, in which you can come and join us and be a part of people who will support you, cheer for you, and help you grow your podcast. Now, if you're looking for one-to-one consultations, we also offer that. And there, from time to time, we have done VIP days and specific strategy sessions for people who are launching. But listen, you don't have to pay us. Call us, give us a line. We will talk to you and share our resources because we love helping others, no matter what. So, and if you call us, we're not trying to sell you anything either. We're just trying to support others. But if you are looking for paid support,
if you want paid support as a client, we're here for that too. But we're not trying to do a grab of people. We're only so many people here, and that's the thing. The people that do come to us and become our clients, we're very selective about that.
That's right. They're part of our family.
Yep.
Now, Daniel, I think that that's everything. This has been a really fun boot camp. We got to do it again. Now, this is just the start of your podcasting journey, my friends, and we can't wait to see your success. And keep taking action. Remember, consistent action gets you traction.
Yes.
Until next time, we'll see you soon. Confidently in the direction of your dreams.
No, I was going to say, go make your voice heard.
Oh, okay. Go do that too.
And remember, go confidently in the direction of your dreams. You didn't do it with me.
Oh, okay. Try it again.
No, it's too late now. Moments pass. And remember,
go confidently in the direction of your dreams.
Bye.
Wow. Goodbye, everybody.
Peace.